Attention Austin guitarist, are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you. That's my friend Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie. You can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook. Gang, I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years, and not only does he do the very best job, but he has the fastest service and the best prices in town. Find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook or jason.swedberg@gmail.com. Gang, whether it's acoustic or electric, Jason is your guy. Get your guitars fixed.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys all had a great weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. I had a good weekend. Yeah, man. I made food on Saturday, had some cocktails, talked to my friend Andy McIntyre on the phone for a couple of hours, caught up with him, and that was a fun conversation. Then Sunday, I got to go record with my friend Gabriel Rhodes. We recorded another song that we recorded, or that we wrote. This is like the third song that we've written and recorded since the summer. We recorded with John Chipman on drums, Scott Garber on bass. It was all done very safely. People wore masks. We did it, a guy at a time, not everyone at once, which is sad. I can't wait to get to do that again. But it was great getting to hang out with my music friends, man, my music family. It felt normal, a little bit normal. It's hard to get. It's been 11 months now. It's hard to think about that. Like, it's been 11 months, and how much longer is this going to go on? And when I release this stuff, am I going to be able to go out and play some shows? Are we going to go out and play some shows, stretch it out, see what's going on? I don't know, man. It's crazy out there. It's already February. It has been 11 months. I mean, I hope you're doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. Luckily, I have Gabriel Rhodes and my bros to pull me through. A lot of friends that I talk to on the phone. But I do want to stress that if you are feeling a little cooped up, a little lonely, a little insane, a little scared, you might want to reach out to some friends. It does feel good to have those conversations. And even when you talk about normal stuff, oh, you moved? What's your new house like? Oh, cool. You can video chat. They can show you their house. That sounds stupid, but that's what I did on Saturday, and it was fun, Anyway, try and reach out to people if you can. And stay sane, stay healthy, and stay safe. Gang, I have a great show for you guys today. Curtis McMurtry, singer-songwriter here in Austin, is releasing a brand new album, Toothless Messiah, this Friday, February 5th. And he is my guest today. We have a fantastic conversation about his upbringing here in the Austin music scene. His father is singer-songwriter James McMurtry. His grandfather is the author Larry McMurtry, who wrote Lonesome Dove, among so many other things, Last Picture Show, all these great books. And he is a fantastic writer himself. This record, Toothless Messiah, is like a very intense political statement. Or not, I can't really say political statement. It's the record is about what we project on our leaders, and it's told from different perspectives in every song. And it deals with what's gone on for the last 4 years. But I do think that this record and the statement that it's making is bigger than just what the last 4 years were, right? Because there's a lot of people putting out political records right now, and a lot of them have a timestamp on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it might not play 4 years from now, but this record does, because it's about the psychology behind how we view our leaders. Fantastic fucking record, and our conversation is unbelievable, man. He's a really deep guy. And we got along really, really well. And I look forward to meeting him in person one day. And I look forward to seeing this being performed at some point, because he partnered with Diana Burgess from the band, like a symphonic kind of band called Mother Falcon. I don't know if you know them. They were active quite a few years ago, and now they sort of like do a lot of teaching. But the record is like, there's like this chamber pop orchestration to everything that's really amazing. And the record starts off with this pretty fantastic spoken word opener that's called 12717. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you can see Curtis do a live stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. on his Facebook and Instagram pages. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with this amazingly talented and really, really cool dude, Curtis McMurtry. Let's get down.
On fire, you tell us to take our time. You say we have no patience. I say you have no spine, and you are tangled in tradition, never daring to offend. But if they are not your enemies, then we are not your friends. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust.
How are you doing, man?
My teachers.
Pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for reaching out. I've always wondered about you.
Oh yeah.
I took the dive, and this record, Toothless Messiah, is fantastic, man. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
I noticed that you get like you're included in country things.
Yeah. I think that's just from the last name, and I've opened for artists like Hayes Carl and
Right.
Lucinda Williams a couple times, and so
Well, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
I think that's the group.
Right. Hayes to me might be more country, but even to me, Lucinda's kind of just rock and roll.
Sure.
Yeah.
And also, I don't ever think there's necessarily a reason that a country act has to have a country opener.
Exactly.
I think it's better when we mix it around, but I think that's why I'm so frequently included in sort of country roundups of artists, is those associations.
Well, what's funny is because obviously not mainstream country. That's the thing, is like when I think of country and the word country, I think of like Luke Bryan. I don't even know if you know who that dude is, but he has really white
I do.
teeth.
He does. I really like some of the people that write the songs he sings.
I'm sure.
Even though I'm not really familiar with his versions of them.
Right. But it's funny because just the to call this song Toothless Messiah, or to call this album Toothless Messiah, is almost kind of misleading because it has so much fucking bite. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you.
It has so much political bite that's what I wonder. Like, how would country people even acknowledge this? Because it seems to me that.
Yeah, I mean, I never expected country people to really acknowledge it at all. I would be thrilled if they did, but they were not who I was thinking would listen to it.
Right. So this record, it's got a focused theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Yeah.
the same kind of thing told from different perspectives.
Yeah, I saw every narrator is reacting to the same individual or the same circumstance.
Right. It's fucking brilliant. Really
Thanks.
brilliant. Like you are really a poetic lyricist.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, and you really
Appreciate
there's very biting lyrics in there, you know.
Thank you. I strive for bite.
Yeah. Even like this, like the chorus of "You need me to betray you," that my teachers taught me not to trust line, said like a mantra.
Yeah, or like writing on a chalkboard even.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll see that one day on the Simpsons intro.
Maybe.
Your eyes just got so big, dude.
That would be fantastic.
So the album is about what we project on our leaders from different perspectives, which resonated with me because I wrote a song over the summer, which I recorded and I'm making a video for, which is that kind of almost very thing, except for I added sort of the disposability of the deity, you know, like how you have the guy, you put everything into the guy, and then you get rid, like the Beatles with the Maharishi even. You know what I mean? This guy has all the answers. This guy's a fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it switches from thing to thing. And I really did relate to it. Do you want to talk a little bit about conceptually where you were coming from?
Sure. I mean, it was absolutely inspired by Trump in the last 4 years, but I never mentioned his name because I want it to apply to dictators and strongmen more generally.
Right.
In order to recognize that this isn't the first time this has happened. It won't be the last time this has happened. It wasn't even the only time it was happening while it was happening here.
Right.
There's been a rise of authoritarianism all across the world. And I wanted to reckon with that as much as I could.
Why is that? Because it was so prevalent in our day-to-day.
It just really sunk in for me that about 30 to 40% of the population really wants a dictator, really wants that, loves that. And that's about the amount of the population you need to retain power. And we've seen that so many places, and it was just so frustrating to me hearing Trump continually compared to Nixon throughout his time in office, when the obvious parallel to me was Gaddafi or Saddam, or like
Right.
we'd seen exactly this before,
Right.
but not here in America. And so we just couldn't wrap our heads around that. And this was me really trying to wrap my head around that.
Are you somewhat of a student of political history, or even like your own personal studies?
So had I gone to a normal college and not sort of a strange liberal arts school, I would have had a minor in political science. I had enough credits to where if that was the way my school worked, it wasn't. Then I would have had a political science minor. So that's very much where I come from.
Is there any, obviously, and we'll get into your whole life and everything, you've been brought up by people that are art people and around art people, mostly music people and stuff, but would there have been another path you might have taken?
Honestly, I think the other path I would have taken would have involved me working with animals.
So
That was the only other path I ever remotely considered, and I didn't pursue that with any real determination.
So switching from a leader that was a deity to some, but also, like, you know, the thing is that he loomed so large that the enemy became the focus. Like, he was just the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Still is a lot of the focus.
Totally. And not just for everyone trying to resist him, for those that really worship him too. Like, he co-opted an entire political party with ease. There was really, I don't feel he had any difficulty in making people think his way was the only way.
Right. And he had an army of now that our life is like on these social media platforms, he had an army that he could summon at any moment. Obviously, we saw that a couple of weeks ago at the Capitol, but he had an army he could summon against anyone. And you see these people kind of like reacting in fear when, you know, a Lindsey Graham or someone like that definitely didn't want this guy in there.
Lindsey Graham didn't want that guy in there, and then became a, you know, bootlicking little toad as soon as he.
But don't you think that's simply because
the wind changed?
because he was bullied into it and was scared of sort of the repercussions of what his followers might do to him in the polls?
Boo-hoo, really? Like, either you have integrity or you don't.
Of course, but
yeah,
but
I'm sure he was afraid, and I don't have sympathy for that. All of us were afraid.
I don't either, but it is freaky to see that one man can wield that much power just from being famous.
Totally. Yeah, and
having a fucking catchphrase, like a guy with a fucking catchphrase. A guy with a fucking catchphrase.
Totally. And then to realize that he's not even the first reality TV show dictator, like that wasn't the first time that had happened either. Eastern Europe has a couple of people who started out as either comedians or...
Oh, yeah.
and so like we've literally seen every step of this before, and we just choose not to see it. I also, you mentioned how scary it is that he could just whip up a frenzy at any given time. Wasn't it striking how quickly his power seemed to dissipate as soon as he was banned from Twitter? Where sharing of misinformation online goes down 73% just by taking Trump away.
Yeah.
73%. And suddenly there are fewer misleading claims all throughout the internet.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I do have to say that not naming him by name, even the opening song, the 127:17, it could apply at different times, you know.
It could. That was the only nod I wanted to give to it. That was the date he signed the Muslim ban.
Yeah. But still, even without the date attached to it, if you were just listening to it as a song on a record, you could apply it to so many different things. Sadly.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, perhaps in keeping with the theme of what one can project onto a figure, I have fans that are pretty convinced I'm not talking about Trump, that I'm talking about Biden, that I'm talking about someone named. And that's fascinating because on the one hand, that's sort of what I was talking about, that you can choose to see whatever you want on anything.
Wow.
But I have recently found that there maybe is a danger in not being explicit. I'm not sure. It's been I'm working out how I feel about that.
I mean, you think about a song like Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. That's one of the only Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young songs that you could have mentioned that I would know.
Yeah, that's good. You're welcome. I was reading a thing about it a few weeks ago, like just a story about it online, about how like the song, like the event happened, the song was written like the next day, and like within 5 days it was on the radio for 3 days, something very, very, very fast.
Yeah.
Even for those times.
That's super fast.
That song, even though it has a timestamp on it, you know, it still works.
I think so. I'll admit the history had to be explained to me when I first heard it. I wasn't sure of the context at all, and so I didn't totally get it then.
Do you feel like this record in some way is a protest record?
In some ways, yeah, and it's also an acknowledgement that I think most people will prefer to keep their heads down and do nothing when they can. I was in trying to cover the same situation from various perspectives, I found the easiest perspective to inhabit was someone who wants to like stay out of it as much as possible. I think there's more.
I encounter a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I mean, and on many days I am like that, where I'm just like I can't do it, which is totally cowardly, and I felt like capturing that feeling as well.
So there is some personal elements to your songwriting, right?
Certainly, but I try never to write explicitly from my own perspective because I don't know. I could be a different person in 3 days. It doesn't. I'd rather kind of draft out something that I think, all right, I can inhabit this from this way, and then I can continue to sing the same song.
And what do you just inject some of your own feelings into stuff when it applies or experiences or?
Yeah, so for this record, there's a lot of songs that deal with intergenerational tension, and I feel that a lot. I frequently feel that I, for example, would like to see younger people on committees in the House. Right. I would like to see people that are really going to suffer the effects of climate change be the ones to be working on solutions for it. So there's a lot of those emotions throughout the record of just wanting my generation and honestly generations younger than me to have a seat at the table right now.
Were you brought up with some sort of like like it was presented to you when you were young that there was some duty you had to society? Because you seem to have a little more. You're what, 30 years old?
I am.
Most people I talk to on this podcast, and this is not talking shit or anything, talk more about like the Instagram followers and shit they have than caring about these real issues.
I mean, I'm not sure if I was brought up enough with the concept of personal responsibility. I remember going to a lot of peace marches in the early 2000s with my dad. He definitely thought it was important that I do that then.
Iraq and Afghanistan war times.
Absolutely. The Bush years, that was his moment of activism, I think, where for him, he thought it was really important that we all get involved in that time. And so I think I went to more marches when, like, between 5th and 8th grade than I ever have since.
Wow.
I think that was oddly the most involved. And I participated in school walkouts at the time. But it's strange. I felt like it didn't feel like I was being instilled with, like, this is what we have to do. This is what we always do. This is the only way. It's just, this is what we're doing now.
Right.
Under these reasons for this war. And it really seemed like I wasn't alone in this, but once Obama was elected, a lot of the anti-war movement in this country sort of dissipated.
When there was still war going on.
Yeah, the entire time, and on more fronts than before.
Yeah.
And that sort of ties into this record too, in that, you know, once your guy's in office or your candidate's in office, you can sort of glaze over some things that were really important to you before.
Yeah. Is it Diana Burgess? That's who works with you on the records?
Yeah.
And do you do your own string arrangements and everything?
It depends. She and I collaborate really closely, so there are times where I will write her parts, and other times she will say, I think this can be better.
Right.
And in 2 seconds, you can make it that way.
But you have the capacity to write a string chart.
Yeah. I studied
arrangement.
music and composition in college.
Yeah. And
wrote string quartets and chamber music and things like that.
That's really amazing, man. What was your where did that come from?
That came from school, where
No. But where did the wanting to learn that come from?
I think it was I played saxophone all through middle, high school, and college. So I was reading music in 3rd grade or so, and that's actually a terrible instrument to start with because it's single line. You're only really thinking about your part. You don't see the whole picture for a long time. And at the end of middle school, I switched to baritone saxophone, which is a way cooler instrument, but you have a lot less to do in a given arrangement usually. So you have a lot of rests. And it was only then when I got to sit back and not have to play the whole time that I was hearing the whole band. And it was at that point that I thought, oh, it'd be really cool to make something like this, to now that I can hear each individual part, that I'm not just stuck playing my one line this whole time.
Yeah.
So it came from that. It came from middle school jazz band, I guess.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Okay, so you're born and raised here, right? Mm-hmm. And your dad is James McMurtry, the great singer-songwriter, who I spent, can I quickly, you're
For
cool
sure.
with talking about your dad. Every once in a while you get someone on that's like, no, don't talk about the guy.
Oh, no, it's cool.
Oh, good. Okay, so I was scared of him for a long time because he has a very menacing resting face.
Sure. And he only gets excited about so many different avenues of conversation.
Yeah.
So he can be intimidating. Certainly.
Yeah. I had been in situations where he was there, but I'll tell you, one night I played a Continental Club in John D's place before him.
Nice.
And he took me aside after he was like, come here. And I was like, oh shit. did I go over? Like, what did I do, man? Did I play too? Did I play not long enough or something? He took me in the side room and he was like, "You're fucking rock and roll."
Nice.
And I was just from then on, I wasn't scared. I'm fucking so excited to see him. Anyway, what an
That's
amazing.
great too, because he doesn't like a lot of music, so
That's what a lot of people
great.
told me. Charlie Sexton was there last night, and he was like, "What did he say to you?" And I was like, "He told me I was fucking rock and roll, dude." And he was like,
Sweet.
"Yes."
That's cool.
And your grandfather's Larry McMurtry,
Yep.
the great author. Like, or do you have? Did you have? He's passed on, right? No, he's still alive. Sorry,
Alive and well.
I didn't mean to throw that at you.
No, it's all good. You're not the first.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do you have a good relationship with him?
Yeah, I do. I talk to him more frequently than I talk to my dad these days. Strangely, I talk to my grandpa every couple days.
It's pretty amazing that this gift of writing is that amazing that it runs through you? Or you like kind of like no.
No, because I think it's like from my dad, I know exposure to my grandfather it absolutely influenced his writing, and I think it's the same where I have a lot of friends whose parents are engineers, and so they're becoming engineers, and I think you can frequently go with what's familiar to you.
Yeah.
And so for me, writing and especially songwriting, that made the most sense, really.
Right.
And I don't know that it's so much a gift as just constant exposure will sort of help you to learn the ins and outs of something.
I guess also what I meant by that was just great writers. You know what I mean? Maybe you have a cousin that's terrible at writing or something, but
no comments.
So this all right, so you come up with all this music. What made you choose saxophone?
Sort of silly desire to be unique at that time.
I could see that. Yeah.
Excuse me. All my friends were taking piano lessons and being made to take piano lessons. And so I thought, I want to play saxophone. Saxophone is cool because I'm in third grade. And no one explained to me then that if I did just start with piano, everything else would be easier. I really wish that had been explained to me. But on the other hand, none of my friends that were forced to take piano lessons play any kind of music at all now. So maybe my parents did the right thing in just allowing me to choose.
Yeah. What you didn't want to play guitar? Did you used to go to shows and shit like growing up the whole time? Were you at your dad's shows? Were you like a little kid at the Continental Club?
So he wasn't playing at the Continental Club until I was like 11 or so. It was around when that residency started. 11 or I think about 11. But I was at his shows absolutely all the time growing up, and I would sell his CDs.
That's a good move.
Yeah, a lot of shows. I remember being at Flora's Country Store a ton as a kid and selling CDs there.
Yeah. Were there other music people coming to the house, other creative people? Was there music going on in your house with people?
Music people were coming to the house. They didn't usually play music. Charlie Sexton would come over for dinner occasionally, but I didn't know who he was or what his music sounded like until I was a teenager.
Right.
Really. Like, I just knew that was Charlie.
Right.
I knew Stephen Bruton, but I didn't know Stephen Bruton's music until middle school.
Yeah.
Really. Like, I knew them as people, as friends of my dad, but I didn't listen to them initially.
I got a little emotional last night. I saw this movie was on Amazon Prime. It's called Songwriter. And it's like from the mid 80s or something. It stars like Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson. And it's like a real movie with like Leslie Ann Warren, and it was like produced by Sidney Pollack, like all this real shit. But I'm watching it, and a younger Bruton was in it, and I didn't expect to see him. And when I did, he's got a couple, times when he exchanges lines and stuff with Chris Christopherson. I got like a little like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful guy. Yeah.
He was very sweet.
Yeah.
Could be very sweet.
Yeah. So all right. So let's, so you're growing up, you're playing the saxophone, you're in like what, jazz band or school band, or where did you go to school?
Yeah.
High school.
High school, I went to LASA,
Okay.
Liberal Arts and Science Academy, which is
Oh, cool.
on the same campus as LBJ.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and I went to Keeling Middle School, or I went to Fulmore first and then switched to Keeling. So I guess I started playing saxophone around the 5th grade and then was playing in middle school bands, both wind ensemble and jazz band, all through middle and high school.
So you must have had some musical proclivity to have been accepted into the arts school.
I mean, nah.
They needed a sax guy.
No, like we had a band. We had a band of 100 kids or something.
Okay.
You know, but they teach you to play. But by the end of 6th grade, you can play the saxophone. It's the easiest thing to start on.
No, I meant by when you got to high school, because that was a high.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
I was a better saxophone player then than I've ever been since.
Really?
Yeah.
So, how did you perform then? Did you perform only in school things and doing, or were you ever like the saxophone player in a rock band? I'm only laughing because I'm thinking of you as like a Clarence Clements fellow. And having listened to your record all morning, it's hard to imagine it.
I sort of was that at one point, but no, when I started performing like in clubs and things, I was playing guitar. I think that started around 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there were always a million guitars in the house. I didn't start really learning to play till I was 11 or 12.
And then when did you played out?
Yeah. So when I was growing up in Austin, Spike Gillespie, do you know her? She's a freelance writer in town.
Yeah.
Really wonderful. She would organize these teen rock nights at Stubbs and Rudamaya, Rudamaya Coffee House, primarily. Where else do we play? We did Antone's as well. Like, she figured out that she could go to these club owners and just say, hey, can a bunch of kids come here on a Saturday afternoon before a real show? We'll pack the place out. And we did back then. Because all our friends would come see us at Stubbs. Like, that was exciting.
That's killer. So what were you doing? What was your band?
So I had a band. I had a bunch of bands. Then all kind of garage punk rocky things.
Cool. Yeah,
you play then. Like mix of Clash covers and originals. I had a band called The Frets that soon became The Diving Captain. And then I had a band called The Pickpockets for a long time.
That's a good name.
And a bunch of these, thanks. I'm sure it was taken long before us, but I don't know. The internet didn't reveal all of that to you then. If someone didn't have a MySpace, then you assumed that it was open. So we had the MySpace for the Pickpockets, so we figured we were official.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat because a bunch of those people that I played with are still in the Austin music scene, and we all do really different things from what we did then.
Yeah. And
we do different things from each other, but it's still really neat to see.
That's cool. Were there any other guys, like I remember at one point, like Marlon Sexton and William Harris Graham had a band together. Were you ever in a band like that with somebody else's son?
I mean,
or daughter?
Yeah, tons of times, but I'm not sure it would be people that you would know. But let's see. Do you know Lee Barber by any chance?
Yeah.
So Lee Barber's son Wells and I were best friends growing up, and Wells played drums in 2 or 3 bands that I was in playing guitar in.
That's awesome.
So that was the thing, and we were neighbors too. The Barber's house was my second home growing up, essentially, where I was over there all the time.
Wow. All right. So at that point, were you like, I'm gonna do this music thing for my life?
Kinda. I was like that, but I was not admitting that publicly.
What was the public message?
I don't know what I was telling people I was going to do. I know that I was interviewed for the yearbook in my high school because I played a bunch of shows, and they wanted like someone who poses with a guitar in the yearbook. The quote I have from the yearbook is about how I'm not kidding myself that I'm not going to do music for a living. Which I remember telling people that, but I don't remember any backup plan I ever had, like distinctly. So I definitely knew I was going to try and do this.
Yeah. And so what was the name of the place there you went to college?
Sarah Lawrence College. It's
Okay.
in Bronxville, New York.
Yeah.
Just outside the city, like maybe 25 minutes from Grand Central by train.
That's a lot of famous people have gone to Sarah Lawrence. A lot of famous artist people.
Vera Wang gave gave the speech at my graduation.
That's pretty badass.
It was. I fell asleep late night before, but I remember how she started, where she said, "I was actually kicked out of Sarah Lawrence, and now they're asking me back to give a speech to you." That was badass. That was wonderful.
I always loved those
it.
people. And you went all 4 years and graduated, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there, at that point, you were studying music composition and ethnomusicology?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like in the music composition, that's where you started connecting with more chamber music and stuff like that?
Totally. So I had very limited exposure to classical music growing up. Neither of my parents really listened to it at all.
Right.
So getting to college, I had to play catch up immediately because all the other kids in the comp program had been listening to Stravinsky since they were 10, and they knew a lot, and I was very ignorant. But it was really great to immerse myself in something I had really no context for, and I had just fantastic professors that really quickly knew how to show students who maybe weren't immersed in this style exactly how wonderful it was. The guy who taught me about Bach and Beethoven is named Pat Muchmore. He's a composer himself, has a lot of releases on New Amsterdam Records. Really dissonant, like scary chamber music. He wrote his thesis on Nine Inch Nails. He was just fantastic. Lots of tattoos, mohawk, and this is the guy telling me, no, you're going to love Bach. Bach is fantastic. Beethoven's fantastic. You're going to love it. So he was a great influence in just teaching me to be open to every kind of music, that there's something you can latch onto for all of it. He also told me that especially if you dislike something initially, that's a reason to give it another chance. And to be a little more suspicious of something that you like right away. Because if you like something you hear right away, probably it's just because it's comfort food. It's probably very similar to stuff you've heard before if it's immediately pushing all your buttons. So he was great. He taught me to love Webern and Schoenberg and all this kind of atonal and post-tonal and serialism stuff that can be a little off-putting when you first hear it.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you're just saying all that stuff, and I'm like, I'm such a pop guy. I wonder if that's my thing. Like I'm just like a Twinkie eater musically.
No, pop is fantastic, and it's getting better every single day. There were a few years where I wasn't super clued into pop because I would listen to it and then it was the same chord progression for everything for a while, and I don't hear that at all. The last 4 or 5 years, it's gotten so cool. I really love it now.
That's really good to hear that. You don't hear that a lot.
I think pop music is perpetually getting better.
Are you talking about like when the EDM thing was seeping into the pop music and there was those every song had the you know?
That certainly got repetitive, but I actually preferred that to just the same kind of chunky chords that were going on for a while, where it was just kind of like, all right, there's a comedian, I've forgotten his name, who does the bit about Pachelbel's Canon and how like every popular song is really just the bass line from Pachelbel's Canon. And he takes you through about 4 decades of songs where it's just everyone's just using the same chord progression. And I found that to be true for a bit, where it was just like, it didn't really matter if you were talking about Green Day or Katy Perry. It was kind of the same song.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
for
yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
I
know exactly
with the
what
same
you mean.
4 on the floor drum beat. And if it was a good song on top of that, then that made all the difference. But often it wasn't. And so that I found that tedious for a little bit, which doesn't mean there aren't things I love about Green Day and Katy Perry. I don't mean to call those artists out specifically, just that there are so many songs that were exactly the same. And part of it is they were written by the same people.
Right.
The same 5 dudes were selling all their songs all across for all the top 40 stuff.
Like
but now there's a little bit more diversity.
Yeah.
At the top, I think it's made all the difference.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Especially from a young person too, you know. Where do you
do I still count?
I mean, I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm 52, you know. That's
And now for me at 30, 52 doesn't feel far away at all. It's like, that's like tomorrow. So
it is like
meanwhile, Diana Burgess and I produced an EP this last summer for a 20-year-old songwriter named Bryn Batani. And there were times talking to her where in my head I was like, we've had a similar life experience. And then I remember like, no, you're a decade younger than me. Your life has been completely different.
Right.
You see the world completely differently. We are not of the same.
I listened to some of that.
Oh, yeah?
It's good.
What'd
Yeah,
you
you
think?
did a good job, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We were proud of it. And we're proud of Bryn. Bryn's fantastic.
It's cool. It's like a 70s songwriter record or something.
Yeah, that's very much a style she kind of gravitates towards. And admittedly for myself, that's not what I listen to. That's not what I really get into, but it was so clearly what Bryn takes influence from that it wouldn't have made sense to put what Diana and I do on top of it. We just wanted to make sure she sounded like her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good trait to have as a producer, not letting your trip on people, like letting their trip shine, making it about that. So after college, you went to Nashville?
Yeah. For I lasted 1 year.
What capacity were you going to Nashville in? Were you going to try and be an artist, a writer, a producer, a session sax guy? Sorry, just fucking with you.
I wasn't especially clear. I know I wanted to go and see what the line was like for a publishing contract.
Okay.
And so when I was going to school in New York, I was driving back and forth every semester, and I would always play open mics at Douglas Corner in Nashville on my way through. And so I felt like I sort of had a sense of the city a little bit. I thought, I could live here and do this partly. It would be really cool to just be here and see what it's like. So that was why I went there. And I did a lot of co-writes the year I was there. I hadn't done a lot of co-writing before, and I was curious about it. And I found out pretty quickly that if I'd wanted to go to Nashville and get a publishing contract, I should have had that plan years before, because everyone else that I was there with, that had been their plan for a while. Everyone else that was my age who had just moved to Nashville,
Right.
they had really been studying what is pop country and how do I do it effectively. And I was a total newbie to that style, and I wasn't good at it, straight up. I wasn't very good at making something that was ever going to be a hit. And the co-writes that I did in Nashville that I liked were never going to be hits, and they were with people that weren't trying to do that. And so it eventually felt like I maybe didn't need to be there if I wasn't going to chase that as hard as some were going to. It was plain to me it's not a thing you luck into. It's a thing you work at like anything else. And the songwriters that I knew that did want to do pop country were amazing songwriters, but we didn't have the same background at all, where I think Fiona Apple is fantastic. I think she's one of the best lyricists on the planet. You try and tell that to a pop country songwriter, and
Exactly.
they don't know
Right.
what to make of it. And it doesn't mean that they're bad songwriters. It just meant to them, they're doing this for money. That's the thing, and that's what they're good at a lot of the time. And so I'd try and take a song we were writing in a more convoluted direction, and for them that was silly. And they're right. Like for what they were trying to do, that would have been silly.
Right. Yeah, there's I talked about this with, do you know Max Frost? He's an artist that's around your age, but he grew up here, but he lives in LA now. But we were talking about how there's that craft. There's great songs, Some of them are super crafted. Some of them are based in like this art way, where
And I actually lean heavily towards the craft. Like I prefer that, and that was a big part of me going to Nashville, as I found out that people try harder there in general than they do in, say, Austin,
right.
where it's such writing a song is so confessional. I find among the songwriters in Austin that most of them, I don't feel like they edit all that much, and that can drive me crazy. But then my favorite songwriters are in Austin. My very favorites. I just felt like the average songwriter in Nashville was trying harder.
Who are your favorites?
Oh, I mean, my dad is one of my favorites for sure.
It's amazing.
But I also Stephanie Macias, Little Brave.
Are you kidding me?
Have you heard her on? She's
fucking love her.
Oh, fucking great.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Amazing.
And she shows up anything in Austin or in Nashville. So there's her. I love Allie Holder's stuff.
Allie's amazing too, yeah. Dana Falconberry, remember her?
So good.
Jesus.
So good. Have you heard Aubrey Hayes?
Love Aubrey Hayes. Yeah.
Aubrey's
I work
amazing.
with the I actually sent her an email right before I started this Zoom chat because I work with
cool.
the Austin Music Foundation, and she's part of our artist development program this year. And I'm setting
I
up
heard that single.
where it's great, isn't it?
Killer. Love it.
She's killer. Really, really killer. Yeah, man. That's great, man. I'm glad. I like your taste in music a lot. And Fiona
thanks.
Apple, I saw that she was
Likewise.
someone that had influenced you or had some sort of artistic effect on you. And I do liken your not like you go like not like you listen to Curtis McMurtry and go like fucking Fiona Apple, but I do. But like there's a lot
That would be the dream.
there's a lot of the adventurousness and outside the lines, and really just your knowledge of music and your connection to music goes beyond, like it's expressed in there, but not in a show off kind of way, which is what I love about her. Like it's not like trying to listen to Dream Theater.
Sure, I'm not familiar with Dream Theater.
It's like a metal prog band, but you know what I mean.
Cool.
You know what I mean. Like you were talking about the guy that influenced you in college, the Mohawk guy.
Yeah.
Like this music that challenges you. Sometimes it's like, okay, you know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, absolutely, and it's still okay not to dislike some music or to find it's not for you.
Right,
but
that level of challenge exists in this Fiona Apple and Curtis McMurtry world where you're hearing things that you have not heard before happening.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Fiona's just so vicious. Like I love her from a musical perspective forever, but it's a lot of it is lyrics with her where I feel like only in the last year, with all the attention that Fetch the Bolt Cutters is, I think, rightly received. I feel like not enough people talked about how brilliant her lyrics were.
Really?
All the years before.
Yeah.
I didn't. And her early albums got trashed by critics.
Really?
Like I like even places like AV Club and stuff just thought she was annoying. They thought she was like another Courtney Love, which that's also weird. I've gone back and read old like Pitchfork reviews of Win the Pawn and stuff like that. They hated it.
I remember people the reaction to Meet the Pawn or Win the Pawn, but at that time I was signed to a label, and our A&R guy was the drummer of this band called The Grays, which was John Bryan's band in the 90s. And so he would play drums on those Friday nights at Largo. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And there were a few times we went there, and like Fiona and John would do a set together. Sometimes Fiona, Apple, John Bryan, and Benmont Tench. Just like fucking awesome.
That sounds.
I never met her, but it was
just
interesting
perfect.
being in that small of a place and seeing. Yeah, are you a John Bryan fan?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you might be. He's a little
I love
poppier
his work.
than you, and even Fiona, for that matter.
He can be.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. He produced my favorite Punch Brothers album as well. Their second album, Anti-Fogmatic.
I never heard that.
It's really good. And he takes himself out of it completely. Like it's just them on the record. Like they're a bluegrass band, which that's the instrumentation, but
Oh
they're
wow,
not a bluegrass band.
really? Okay.
Yeah. You know Punch Brothers?
No. I just wrote it down though.
You must hear the Punch Brothers.
Okay, I will.
It's Chris Thiele, the mandolin player. He was in Nickel Creek, and he hosted Live from Here. He took over Prairie Home Companion. and it
Right.
Anyway, Punch Brothers is his band, and I could not love it more. It's bluegrass instrumentation, but they play strange art pop and kind of neoclassical music. They do arrangements of Debussy, but then they also cover Josh Ritter sometimes or cover Beck. Mostly it's original material. They cover Radiohead with bluegrass instrumentation, and it's gorgeous. Punch Brothers.
Yeah, okay, I'll check
Yeah.
that out.
Chris Thiele actually as well is huge musical influence for me, and also lyrical influence for me, where his anti-Donald Trump Jr. song is one of my favorite political songs of the last 4 years.
I'm totally anti Donald Trump Jr. That guy's fucking freaks me out, dude.
Scum. And
He always like I don't see shows with him on it, but I see clips of it. So he just always looks like this is what he looks like to me. It looks like he just went. And so anyway, man, that's exactly who he is. Like he just did a
Yes.
huge rail blow, and he's in the middle of a tirade, and he just paused for a second to do another guy, and then get back
think-
up and like, he's jacked up. He's yelling at you.
yeah, I think you're reading him. I think you know him well, almost like you know him personally somehow. Yeah. Anyway, the Punch Brothers song about him, I think touches on that. It's called Jumbo. It's on
Okay.
their most recent album, All Ashore. I love it. It's like a tribute to Randy Newman and John Hartford, and it's about Donald Trump Jr. and it's so good.
Wow, amazing.
Yep. Read the lyrics as you listen. They go by really quick.
Okay. As far as like you produced Toothless Messiah, which by the way, tip of the hat, outside of being a great
thanks.
songwriter, great musician, and artist, fucking great job producing your own record. And you did
thanks.
the Bryn, how do you say her name?
Bryn Batani.
Batani,
Is her name.
okay.
Yeah.
Bryn Batani. And you co-produced that with Diana Bridges, but did you produce Hornet's Nest as well?
I did. Yeah.
And you produced
I did.
Respectable Enemy?
No, that one was Will Sexton actually.
Oh.
It was,
Sorry.
if I'm going to be honest here, that was a co-production, but we'd agreed that he would be getting the production credit on it. And so I felt we worked really closely, but he is the producer on that album.
I get it. I love that guy. We've been friends since we were young guys, like teenagers.
He is an insane musical mind.
Yeah.
Like, just, I learned so much working with Will. It was just so many cool new tricks that
Yeah.
would have never occurred to me, that felt to me like they occurred to him in the moment somehow. Like they weren't necessarily old things he'd known forever. Just, hey, it might be cool if we did a sound maybe like this. I can make that sound like this. Yeah, here we go. Just, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah, there's something I like if you don't know him or work with him on music, there's a thing that gets by you that like in the spirit of what he does is like he's a jazz guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he is in the
And
moment communicating with whatever's happening around him.
in the moment and fairly avant-garde as
Yeah.
well. Like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was one part he made for a song where he played a bass guitar completely unplugged, close mic'd it near the bridge, muted it in a way. I think we used a piece of cardboard. We tried a couple different things. I can't remember what stuck, but he's playing this bass guitar unplugged and it's just becomes a marimba part. Like, knew how to turn this bass guitar into a marimba for that moment.
Amazing.
In like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of going, let's put this cardboard now, let's put this paint now. Here we go. All right, now it's propped up like this. Now
Right.
I can play it this way. And I hadn't experienced that sort of quickness, you know? Of just, I hear marimba, we don't have marimba, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
So as what I was going to say is, do you see yourself doing more production outside of even yourself? And
I would love to. It's the sort of thing where I'm not really sure how to shop myself as a producer, because I don't think I'm right for the majority of projects being made. But if anyone comes to me and says, hey, let's work together, I'm probably open to it, depending on what direction they're going. If someone is a really kind of hardcore rock artist and wants to make a rock album, I'm probably not the choice. It's just not my area of expertise.
Okay.
But I'll try almost anything else.
Yeah. When you say hardcore rock, like AC/DC kind of like, hey, I want to do this record.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't know what to do that they couldn't already do themselves.
What is we haven't really talked about her very much, but you obviously have this partnership with Diana Burgess in some way from Mother Falcon.
Yeah.
Are they still a band, or are they now just a school?
They're still a band. They can't really be a band this year because just getting the band together for rehearsal already violates any sort of COVID safety protocol you could have.
Yeah.
But no, Mother Falcon still exists. They don't tour in the way that they used to.
Right.
What they've done the last few years is they break up into smaller ensembles for kind of project specific ventures. You should have a Diana on at some point. She'll tell you all about it. But really quick, so they had a collaboration with a puppet performance troupe called Glass Half Full, and the two of them created a new version of Peter and the Wolf called Petra and the Wolf.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and Mother Falcon did an all original score, and it was on Texas Wildlife, and it was really great. And they toured that nationally for a couple years. And that was the most recent touring project, but they were still doing that, I think, in 2019.
Okay.
I think that was still happening then. And they've scored some documentaries and some video game things. So they do things, but it's not, they haven't released a Mother Falcon album for some time.
Yeah.
Because so many of the members are spread out, and the easiest way to collaborate is to sort of say, all right, we'll use 7 of the 14 people.
Right.
This thing.
I don't know if I've ever talked to Diana. I have talked to a couple of people, but it was years ago on the show.
You should talk to Diana.
Yeah, I would love
her
to.
solo album came out last year. I co-produced that with her.
Okay, would you introduce us via email or something?
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. So, so Curtis, man, you're releasing this record, Toothless Messiah. Once again, amazing job. You're fucking great songwriter, great producer, great musician.
Oh,
great use of the banjo.
I love the banjo.
You make me love the banjo.
Oh, wonderful! I'm glad.
I like the banjo when it's in on like a Beach Boys song.
Sure.
I like it texturally when it's driving a thing in a bluegrass. I'll be honest with you, not the world's hugest bluegrass fan, because it only has one dynamic.
I'm totally with you, and I have felt for so many years now that open G, like for standard bluegrass tuning, is too high, and I no longer play the banjo with finger picks because that really trebly attack from Scruggs style it just got to be nails on a chalkboard for me. And I did used to play bluegrass, and it's been years now. So now I play the banjo in a double C tuning, so it's dropped, and I play it without picks so that I can switch from sort of a bastardized clawhammer style to the finger picking when I need to. And that makes it so much more versatile. And when it's tuned a little lower, it sounds so much sweeter to me. So I love the banjo, but I'm not the biggest bluegrass fan either. It really, if it's going to be Scruggs style bluegrass, it has to be Noam Pickilney or Alison Brown. playing the banjo for me now.
Okay.
Who they're phenomenal, but the banjo players I gravitate towards now, Adam Hurt for sure. He plays a gourd banjo with nylon strings. It's the most beautiful sound ever.
Wow, that sounds nice.
And he does clawhammer, not Scruggs. Sorry, I'm not sure how much you know about banjo nerddom.
You said it. No, I'm obviously not there with you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You were throwing out names real fast. I'll look them up later. No,
Sure.
It's good. Dude, you are you're really cool, man.
Back at ya.
I'm glad we got to. Thank you so much too for reaching out. That was nice. I didn't know if I should be scared of you without knowing you, like I was scared of your dad. Who even knows?
I hope not. I think most people think I'm a little friendlier. Depends what they know me from.
See, that's the thing is I only know him as after that experience, and I say hi. I don't linger.
Scared of him anymore?
I do it real fast. No, I'm not scared, but I'm also not fucking around. I'm not like,
Sure.
Hey, what are you watching on Netflix, James? You know what I mean? Like,
He watches YouTube, and he just watches YouTube videos of people fishing all over the world
that's
and what
killer.
they use for bait, and how they prepare things. He has some of the more off the beaten path internet viewing habits that I've ever encountered.
Do you have an outside music interest?
Yeah. It's got to be comic books, pretty much.
Yeah.
Comic book writing. Yep.
Do you,
So not just like superhero stuff, but
right.
there's certain writers I follow and kind of whatever they do.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome, man. I think I feel like that's an amazing medium. Like that thing kind of changed when I was in high school with like Watchmen and The Dark Knight and stuff. That kind of changed, and I know from there on it went outside of superheroes. But the medium is fantastic.
Better and better.
Yeah.
And I do like superheroes. I don't mean to slag them. It's just there's often I'll get introduced to a writer through the superhero stuff and then follow them to their creator owns material that ends up being a little more complex.
How do you find new music? Because you were saying earlier that there's great new music now in pop and stuff. Where are you finding this music? How do you in this day and age?
I feel like the internet filters everything for me that it knows I like through whatever algorithm. So sometimes I'm not sure how I discover things, except that it's suddenly everywhere. So I guess a lot of the times for pop, I find it because someone's spending millions of dollars to make sure it's in front of everyone's face. But for anything else, I find I use Bandcamp a lot to discover things I was never going to hear otherwise.
Right.
I love Bandcamp's I love Bandcamp in general. I can't say enough good things about them.
I think 2020 was the year that Bandcamp kind of became like cooler than it was in 2019. You know what I mean? Like having the days where they don't take a cut and all that kind of shit.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, it really raised awareness for them and gave more musicians a reason to champion that outlet, which I had been wondering for years why more people didn't, where I have good friends that are still just all about their Spotify stats, and I know how little we make from that, and I never understood why they're shy to talk up Bandcamp and with the same gusto. Like I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you,
they don't want to kill the vibe. They don't want to say, "Hey, will you actually pay for my music?"
Right.
And that's so disheartening to me because I don't know. My friends are so good. They're worth so much. People will pay for it. They will. I don't know. Yeah, love Bandcamp. Hate Spotify.
Yeah, I love Bandcamp. In Austin Music Foundation, with those singles and stuff, that's where we put them.
I know. Yeah. I bought it.
You did?
I bought that. Of course.
Thank you, man. Curtis.
My friends are on that. I'm buying that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now a new friend. Because we've never met in person, have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No. Pretty sure not.
Man, I'm just really floored by your talent and just your uniqueness, and you know what, I think you're you're a great asset to the world of music.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for having me. Thanks so much for having.
Oh wait,
this
I'm not
outlet
done with
to
you
talk to
yet.
musicians.
So
good.
what I just wanted to
Never
throw
mind.
out and tell you that I just like you. Is that weird?
No, that's awesome. We should do more of that. I like you too.
You should see me on a date, man. I'm so weird and uncomfortable to be around.
The
Here's
first
what
date, that's maybe awkward, but by the third date, I feel like that's totally fine.
yeah, you never know what's going on. The way that everything is set up now, when you normally put out a record, you would play a release show and maybe do you tour and stuff normally?
Yeah, this will be the first time I've released an album where I won't be going on a national tour. At least I don't expect to promote it.
So what are you going to
There's
do?
no way of knowing when, right? So I do live streams with Diana Burgess, and I do live streams every Thursday night at 8.
Okay.
We slacked off for a while, and now we're back. So I'll be doing.
Where do people see that?
On my Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes on Diana's Facebook and Instagram. But the Thursday nights are pretty much always on mine.
Okay.
And sometimes Diana's as well. It kind of depends how many Apple devices we have charged.
Okay.
There's at least 2 streams always happening, sometimes as many as 4.
Okay. Hold on, I'm just writing that down so that I make sure direct people. So this will come out on the Tuesday before the 5th. So that Thursday night you'll be doing a live stream?
Yep.
So Thursday night
Maybe
people
that
can tune in.
Friday.
Sorry, go ahead.
We might do one that Friday too, but we haven't decided yet. So.
All right. And people can find your general stuff at curtismcmurtry.com or curtismcmurtrymusic.com. Sorry about that.
Correct. Yeah. That and the Bandcamp, curtismcmurtry.bandcamp.com.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love the Bandcamp. You have a link to
the
that.
website links to the. Yeah.
Okay.
You can get to the Bandcamp from the website.
So you're going to do the live streams and anything else? Like, you've been getting some good reviews for the record, which is nice.
It is nice.
Yeah. Well deserved too.
Yeah. There's a couple things I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
Okay.
But there's some positive things for the record that I'm excited about.
Good. It seems to me like this music all has so much vibe, and there's even, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there's an instrumental song and stuff. It seems like this stuff would all work in a visual sense too, like in a television film placement.
That would be great. I won't pretend I have. I was lucky enough to get one sync placement a few years back, and that happened through luck, not through any.
Well,
I have no real foot in that world.
I feel I don't know if it, dude. Everyone is going for, like, you know what I mean,
yeah. It's hard. It's like writing commercial jingles or something where, like, I've never written a song specifically with the intent of this could be in an HBO critically acclaimed series, and I know a lot of people that do exactly that, and it's hard to know you're competing with that.
Yeah.
But, you wrote these songs for whatever purpose you had them in mind, and then you're trying to say, but maybe it will work in True Detective or something.
Right.
And you can get lucky that way, but I feel like generally the people that got those placements are the same. Like, it's because they're working at it. That's their primary goal.
Right. It's funny that you say that. I got the first season of True Detective, I got turned on to the girl that was always playing at that bar. I can't remember her name.
The first, the McConaughey season? That's the one that I saw. I can't remember.
Oh, no. Maybe it was the Vince Vaughn one. It was the Vince Vaughn one.
I missed that season.
There was a woman playing at the bar, and I loved her. Like,
nice.
her stuff was haunting and amazing. She just played, like, electric guitar by herself and sang.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like, so I would love that kind of gig where you have, like, a residency, but it's inside a TV show.
Yeah.
Like, that would be ideal. I want, like, my imaginary residency. Or I'd love to, like, say there's like a story podcast or something. I'd love to be the band in the bar in the podcast for the characters.
Yeah,
like,
that would be cool.
Love to do it.
I played in a band with a bunch of dudes you probably know, like Bobby. No, what's Bobby's last name? He's handsome, plays bass.
I can't think past
Continental
Bobby
Club
Boucher.
guy. Oh well. There was this band, this guy Charlie Hodge, that was a radio guy, and then he was a comedy guy, and he used to have a comedy show. And there was a band that played behind the comedians for this weekly show, and the band was called Sweat and Lotion. And you just like vamped on like mellow funk stuff. It was pretty fun. I played with them a few times.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, Curtis, man, people get out there and find you at CurtisMcMurtryMusic.com. Toothless Messiah drops on Friday, February 5th. People can pick this up at Bandcamp. Do that. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your other stuff is on there as well. Would this record be coming out on vinyl?
I mean, I got it mastered to where it could, but I haven't printed any vinyl yet. I did the same thing with the album before this one, where if there's ever a demand or an easy way for me to do it, I can print it. I'm excited for some of those avenues to where you do a pre-order and then they only print as many as people order. That seems like it's coming around. So hopefully one day vinyl, but there is no vinyl now.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, man, thank you so much for doing the show. It's been great talking to you. Toothless Messiah is fantastic. Your music's great. And hopefully we'll get to meet someday in person. We can sit down and have coffee and talk about comic books and stuff.
That sounds so great.
Yeah, man.
Coffee in person.
Yeah. Remember that? It's like the 90s or something.
Sounds so good.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you for doing it.
Not to trust my teachers. They will take it all and you will let them.
Yeah, baby. Curtis McMurtry. Go out and check out this record. It comes out Friday. Toothless Messiah comes out Friday, February 5th. Find me at CurtisMcMurtryMusic.com. And don't forget, you can see his live streams every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram. I want to thank Curtis for reaching out. It was really, really great talking to him. That guy's fascinating, super cool, and I look forward to hearing even more music that he has to make. Check out Toothless Messiah. Drops Friday, February 5th. Go to CurtisMcMurtryMusic.com for all of your Curtis McMurtry needs. And listen, gang, when you're out there checking out CurtisMcMurtryMusic.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find them, new shows. We're dropping 3 shows a week in February. I didn't even say that at the top of the show, did I? 3 shows a week, baby. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays this February. So enjoy it. Here's the rest of this tune from our band, Curtis McMurtry. Pick up his record, Toothless Messiah, this Friday, February 5th, wherever you stream or download your jams. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers taught me not to trust. My teachers. But you need me to betray you. You cannot stand and fight on feet of clay. Old shadows that refuse to pass the mantle. In the light, my heroes fade away.